Welcome to Igniting Change, Finding Your Fire, a podcast covering all topics health, healing, and spirituality. I'm your host, Meena Puri. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Igniting Change, Finding Your Fire. I'm your host, Meena Puri. Today, I am really excited. I have a very special guest here with me, Dr. Donna Marks. She is a licensed psychotherapist and addiction counselor. She has recently written a book called The Healing Moment and a list of things that she has accomplished and helped people with, which I'm going to keep as a surprise, and she can share you more about that. So, Donna, I'm so glad to have you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
So tell us a little bit. I guess we can begin with, I was reading your bio and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad. I'm so honored that you are on my show. So tell us a little bit about what you do and your work in all the years that you have been doing it.
Well, I've been doing this, I think, since I was born. Because I was born into a family that was troubled, and so there was a lot of challenges growing up. But I really felt some kind of spiritual connection from my earliest memories, 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
From real young, I got messages that really calmed me and soothed me and helped me through some of the pain I was going through. And then I wound up dropping out of high school to get married. I was divorced as a single mom at age 18. And there was two paths. One was that I was repeating some of the behaviors that I grew up with, some of the addictive behaviors. And then the other part of me knew I could do better. So there was this parallel going on between my human being and my spirit. And finally they merged. But it was a lifetime experience, and I was very blessed to be able to go to college and to get my degrees and to be able to be of service to people my entire adult career. And I'm very fortunate. And my healing moment happened at a point in time when I realized that I didn't know how to love myself. And I think that's what really the crux of any issue is, that people are replacing certain things because it makes them feel good with actually feeling good all the time. And when we know how to love ourselves, then we feel good all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So your life really provided a lot of raw material, I like to call it. And I think
Yes.
Similar stories I have as well. But I think when it comes to healing work, it's more than just the knowledge. It's the lived experiences. And it's the lived experiences that compel one to connect with that which is larger than the problem.
Yes.
And yeah, so I think it's that connection. It's almost it's the healing work. I always tell people it's not a career, it's a calling. You can't help but do it because you have that special gift because you have experienced it yourself.
Right.
So
Well, we all have a special gift. And when
yeah.
we know that, then we can fulfill our mission and purpose. And I do believe I believe I chose my path and the lessons before I ever got here. That's just my personal feeling. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
Yeah, it is really actually because this life, in my belief, is a continuum of our prior lives. And I also feel that I brought this unfulfilled work that I'm doing because I didn't get to finish it in my prior lives. Maybe I'll never get to finish it. I don't know. Because there's no end to such work. There's no end to serving, right? So yeah, so it's a continuum and it's again things that are real, they don't require any proof. It's real in your experience, in your knowing.
Well, I think the important thing is if you don't feel right, if you don't feel good, what's the problem? And
The
because
problem.
if you look at I like to bring it always back to children. If you look at a child, who's getting enough food and shelter and hugs and kisses and affirmations, and they're happy, they're just happy. It's when the parents are emotionally unavailable or don't understand how to meet a child's needs, or don't care to meet a child's needs because they're not well themselves. That's when children are affected. So I think that we are always going to stay in a good state when we treat our bodies and minds with love. That's the key.
I love that. I love that. That is the most powerful ingredient. So when you look around the world today, the mental health issues are skyrocketing, the anxiety and the depression, and hence goes the substance abuse, because it goes hand in hand. So what do you think? How did we come here?
Well, I think the biggest problem right now is that we're treating addiction with addiction. And so anytime a person has the least little bit of emotional discomfort that lasts for a little while, rather than saying, what's going on here? What might I do different, or how might I change, or maybe I'm doing something that's not good for me, or maybe I'm engaged in a relationship that's not good for me, and there needs to be some changes in the relationship. Whatever the case may be, the work has to come from within. Because if I keep pointing fingers outward, including, like I say, I don't want to blame anybody, but if I'm not willing to say, how can I make my life the way it was supposed to be? I'm in charge of my life. The control center's in here. It's not out there, in this country anyhow. That's not the case in all countries. But we always have control over our own minds and our own choices in terms of how we perceive things and how we choose to react to things. So if we're not happy, then we need to remove the barriers to that. And so I just feel that, everyone's got anxiety now, which in my opinion is nothing more than fear. And so many people are depressed, which is really often fear also, fear of change, fear of taking responsibility. But if I go to a doctor, I will get prescribed medication, and that medication, 90% of the time, is going to make me feel worse, not better, or it's just going to mask the real problem, and I'm not going to address the underlying cause.
I have talked about this topic till I'm blue in the face, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. And I always try to find, what is it? What is it that people who really need the help, they won't get it? What is it?
I think that there's only one thing that causes anybody a problem, and it's fear. And we have to learn to choose love over fear. And that's what I talk about in the healing moment. It's the healing moment is that moment when you say, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out.
You're willing to find out, exactly.
I'm not going to live like this any longer. I'm not going to blame, but I'm not going to live like this any longer. I'm going to find my way out. And to do that, I have to be willing to connect with this inner part of me that is my spiritual part, that will, you can be in a cave. And if there's a light switch in there that's tied into electricity, you're going to do everything you can to find that switch and turn it on. You might have to grope around for weeks before you actually find it. And you may get a few scrapes and scratches, and it might be really scary. But once that light goes on, you're free. And it's the same thing. Once we have that healing moment, we're free because we've connected with that light.
I think sometimes it's like the light bulb has to go off, right? Within inside of you. And we all have to make that decision. It's like, I'm done with this. I am absolutely done with this. And then taking radical responsibility, what I call to, which it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many explanations or what happened on the outside. Everything you are experiencing, you have invited it to yourself. The difficulty is it's subconscious. You don't know about it. So I call it taking energetic responsibility. It's not consciously you have done something, but you're carrying the energies of it within you. That's why you continue to invite the same old circumstances. So it is the fear. Fear can be so gripping. And it's because
and so subtle that we don't even realize that
we don't even realize that we're operating from fear. And it's actually, that's what I notice as well, is the people who are That's one of the reasons why they continue, why they don't listen to anything we put out, why they don't like gravitate or pay attention. It's fear is illogical, right? Fear is mind made, ego made. And when fear is there, it's not fear of one thing. No one is just afraid of one thing. If they have fear within them, they're afraid of all kinds of things. And when we leave the fear unattended, there's all kinds of other connections, false connections the psyche makes. The dots that the psyche connects. It's like, see, I told you, look what happened. I'm so glad I didn't do that, because it's a self-feeding, self-fulfilling prophecy, self-fulfilling, um, a phenomena that we take on. We make it real when actually it's not real.
That's right. Because we listen to those thoughts that never stop. It's like
Yeah.
one negative thought after the next. And then we don't realize that when we're watching that channel, you can be watching TV, you can watch a movie about nature and how beautiful it is, and the ocean and the leaves and the fish and the wonderful things, and you're going to feel good. But if you're watching the horror movie, your body is going to be feeling anxious and tense. And so whatever movie we are watching in our mind, we do have control over that. We can say, wait a minute, I'm going to get off this station and put on the I trust station, I feel good station, I'm in charge station, I can accomplish my goal station, I'm here for a reason, I'm here for a purpose, I'm here to love and be loved station. And so when we're doing that, then we're not paying attention to all those, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and I don't have enough of this, and I don't have enough of that, and what if he says this, and what if we break up, and la 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 la. It just never stops. And
right, but we never look to what if everything works out? What if there's something on the other side that you haven't seen? What if this could be the solution for you? What if if you're listening to this podcast, that what if there's a solution here for you? That
well, everything does work out.
Everything does work out. We have to believe that. So
and allow it, stay out of the way,
and allow it. Exactly.
One of the things I talk about in one of the chapters is, when we plant food into the ground, you have to put it in fertile soil. It has to have water, but you're not out there pulling on it every 5 seconds to make it grow once it sprouts. You just trust that it will grow, and it does. And if you just trust that you're doing the right things to grow your own life, it will blossom and bloom. And yes, there's no guarantees about earthquakes and tornadoes or hurricanes, but even those serve for the highest good when you take care of yourself.
Exactly. I love the word trust, and I want to just say a couple of things about it. Many people mistake trust to be, I don't trust this person, I don't trust that politician, I don't trust you, right? So forget about that kind of trust. It's trusting in the bigger picture, that somehow beneath all the human efforts and control and everything that we do, underneath there is a supreme intelligence that's happening.
Absolutely.
That's connecting the dots, that's making this world go around. It doesn't matter what people are jumping up and down on the outside. There's an underworking that's taking place. That's what I want people to trust. Trust in the bigger picture. When you trust in it, it will be there for you. It will work out for you.
It already has worked out for you. And one of the chapters I talk about is you are the most important person you will ever trust. Because when you are connected to that spiritual energy, you know that everything is happening for your highest good all the time. Even things that you don't want to happen are for your highest good.
For highest good, exactly.
We save ourselves a lot of pain and a lot of fear and a lot of angst when we just know that and live in that place.
We really attract whatever we vibrate deeply, whoever we are on the inside. It's funny that you talk about the trust and the fear. I just did a podcast on regret and living from the inside out. Is when we've got to find out what the inside is so we can live from the inside out. When we're living from the outside in, it's a dead-end road. It's going to leave you with the regret, resentment, and it's just it's a complex mess, emotional mess that you will get into. So the inside and the outside, I think that's what at least we're having the conversation. when I talk to many people, this phrase, living from the inside out, what is it that you feel? What is it that you want? What brings you joy? These are tough questions for many people. They've never asked them. They're like, what do you mean? When I ask them, feel this, they're like, how do I feel this? You see what I mean? Because we are so wrapped up in the mental flow, in the head, that we are disconnected from our feeling sense, from our intuitiveness, from our higher knowing. So what is your recommendation? What is something that you can share with people that they can do?
Well, that they can do in regards
In
to
regards to
understanding their
learning how to
feelings.
live from the inside out.
Yes, well, I can relate to that because I can remember that after trying so many different things, and I still, there was still something missing, and I was not happy, and I was very angry with my God of my understanding, and I was like yelling, I've done everything right, and why am I here? And why don't you love me? And it came through loud and clear, very clear, that it wasn't God that didn't love me. I did not love myself. And I, like you just said, I didn't know what that meant. I thought I did, but I actually did not know what that meant. And I think we have to kind of put love into perspective. Love isn't a feeling so much as it's an action.
It's
And
an
if you
action,
think
yeah.
about it, if you take it back, to a small child, if we are the children of the universe, or some of them, here on the planet, we have a heavenly divine energy that cares for us. We don't have to go out and make sure that the sun rises and sets and the stars, and we're not in charge of any of that. We only have to deal with our own little minor lives. And so once we can tap into that universal energy and recognize that it all is part of a greater and bigger thing, and that that little child in the crib, if it needs something, you don't just yell into the other room, I love you. You have to get into action and take care of that little child, and we have to get into action and learn how to care for ourselves, because we cannot tell the world you have to love me if we don't love ourselves.
That hasn't worked out so far.
Absolutely. And then when we love ourselves, we have love to give and share with one
It's really
another.
loving that inner child. It's like spiritual reparenting yourself. That's something we all have to do, because our parents knew what they knew. So, Donna, I do want to talk about your book that you wrote, The Healing Moment, and you talk about the 7 spiritual psychological principles that you have connected together so people can live a life of everlasting peace and change. So will you share about the book and those 7 principles?
Well, I won't have time to cover all of them, but we already have covered some of them. But the first one is to recognize that that the most important person you will ever love is yourself, and that love does not come from out there. It comes from within you. And when you tap into your own love and light and shine it, when you be the love that you are trying to get, you will have all the love that you could possibly ever want. It's a paradox. We are kind of programmed to, get, from the time we're young, it's on TV, get relief, feel better, drink this, smoke that, buy this, get this car. We have been hijacked into thinking that it's out there, and all of that's fine and dandy, but it's not out there, it's in here. And because that's why people who have everything in the world aren't happy, because they haven't learned how to source that inner light and that inner love that is their true essence. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that to recognize that we have those 2 things going on in us all the time. We have that spiritual part, which is all knowing, all wise, and pure love. And we have that human part that's very scared. And we have to decide which route we want to take, because so many people come here and they live their whole life and they never even realize who they are or why they're here. And then they're not happy, and they die very sadly not happy. And so they've missed the whole point. This is a giant playground. It's no different than fifth grade. We are here to live and laugh and play and have fun and love one another and dance and sing. And yes, we have work to do, but it's not like a drudgery. It's like a joy when you're doing what you're here to do.
Exactly, exactly. And I think every single person has that unique gift. And if we recognize that gift, then we will have so much to contribute to the whole of humanity. I imagine a world where instead of pivoting from fear, we pivot from love. What this world may look like, right? So that's the message really, is learning to love yourself. Love is not something we get. We get the love by giving it. And I think I talked about in one of the podcasts, and people, when we don't have the self-confidence, when we don't have a sense of self, then the question is, well, who am I to love? I'm not important enough. So that's where the healing work, the human life that has created the blocks and the beliefs and the paradigm and the mental constructs that come in the way. That's why it's so necessary to go inside and resolve those experiences that have not yet been resolved, so you can get to that love, get to that worthiness feeling within yourself. And then who are you not? Who are you not to give your gifts? Who are you not to give the love?
Absolutely. Just because someone who wasn't well dictated your self-esteem doesn't mean you have to continue to sign up for that course.
Yeah.
Because we actually were created by that universal intelligence, and it did not create defective material. We know that there are children with birth defects who do wonderful, magnificent, fabulous things.
Exactly.
So we have to change the channel again and recognize, as you said earlier, everyone has a gift, everyone has a purpose, and that there is no one is worthless or and even more important, as I do mention in one of my chapters, I am responsible for how I feel about myself and what I think of myself.
Absolutely.
I am in control of that one thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
exactly.
I can say I'm worthless, but that is really just fear of stepping out of that false self.
Right, exactly. We use many things. Actually, it is fear. Many things we use as a crutch. Like, what will other people say? And I thought, who are these other people? There's no other people. You made them up. It's a crutch for when you don't have the
And
courage.
why would that be any of our business?
Why would it be any of your business? And after I was like, who are these other people? Actually, they're not saying anything because I can't even find them.
Right.
Other people
But
is
even
you.
if they are, what do they talk? If
Who cares?
someone's talking about somebody, what, they get tired of it after about 10 or 15 seconds.
It's not,
and they
it
move on to
doesn't,
the next person.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, you're only a hot story for one day or for 1 hour or for that one moment. They're scrolling. There's another hot story. I mean, people aren't concerned. Everybody just looking at themselves, really. So they're not really bothered. So it seems like a small shift, but it is the biggest shift that if we can make to go within, that the external world will follow. It will begin to change. It's the biggest shift that humanity can make. We are at a crossroads, right? It's the old bill of goods that we were sold. You're broken, you're not good enough, go fix yourself, you're blah, 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 blah. Then our parents and schools, they just reinforce that idea again and again. You didn't get an A, you suck, right? You
That's
look
so
this
true.
way, you look this way, you're going to be fat. And, I deal with, eating disorders and whatnot. And just, it's a crime that we have committed against our own species, against humans. It's because they didn't know any better. So if we can, there's a lot of undoing that needs to happen, right? But I want people to know that undoing does not have to take you decades. Just because you have decades worth of undoing, it doesn't need to take decades. When we wake up, we can wake up instantly.
Oh,
So
it takes one instant.
Really, my urge for you to just wake up, please. Make that shift inside. Don't worry about the details. They'll work out.
Absolutely. I see that all the time in my office. I've worked with
Yeah.
thousands of people, and maybe 1 in 100 will get it, that I'm done.
I'm done. I'm done.
See that miraculous transformation. And, they might have been addicted to a lot of different things. Usually it's
And
not
yeah,
just one,
and
and
here
they're
we have,
done.
yeah.
They're just done, and they learn how to love themselves, and they don't even think about it
They don't
anymore.
even think about it. They come home. It's like, come home. I'm done. I'm good. Exactly. It's that shift. When that shift happens, it's that shift that people can make. Forget about everything you have to do. Everything will just, when you decide that you're done with this nonsense, just decide. The details will follow. Everything you need to do to get to that other side is going to follow you. You're going to find it. You're going to see the signs. You're going to see the podcast.
Right.
You're going to meet the Dr. Donna. You're going to see, a book, a saying, and you're going to be inspired. You're going to be inspired. The universe is bending over backwards. If you say yes, it'll bend over backwards.
That is so true. I'm working with someone right now, and that's exactly what he says. This happened, and then that happened, all in the same day. I know that the universe is talking to me.
Honestly, you know what's so funny? The topics that you're talking about, they're on, I just did 2 podcasts. That's just exactly the topics. And then addiction is, the next podcast that I'm going to be talking about, because it's in the air. It's because so many people are talking. I've noticed this all the time. I do a post and someone else did a post. I'm like, because I pick it up. I don't plan my posts at 10 days in advance. Because I'm in that moment. Whatever shows up, I just talk about it, and then someone else talks about it. And I thought, oh wow. So it can be so easy.
It's fascinating. My second book was Exit the Maze, One Addiction, One Cause, One Solution. And I believe that addiction is our #1 global crisis. It's at the root of almost all physical and mental illness.
And we have to talk more about that. And the reason why it continues to stick, because the marketing companies, the profit makers, they have, that's the opposition, really.
Well, first of all, they've studied the brain and they know how to get it addicted.
Human psyche,
alcohol does not have to be 16% alcohol. It could be 5%. Yes,
I know, it's really
they were putting other chemicals in cigarettes to get people addicted. Pornography. I mean, all of it. It is. They have studied your brain, and they know how to get that pigeon hitting on that lever to get that pellet.
That is just awful. I see like those
addicted.
Yeah,
it's nobody's fault.
Cannabis shops everywhere. Then on the freeway, it says with the herb things showing, little bit high is too high. Why would you allow 3 shops in 1 block and then you put that sign? But
here's the thing: once we're onto it, and
we say
nobody gets to have me but own my mind but me. And we raise children that they are so sacred, that their little bodies are a sacred temple, and they have brains and hearts and livers and all, and they are sacred. Once we instill that in them, and we say there could be alcohol and pot on every single corner, and you won't want it because it's not good for those organs. And the minute you start doing it, that brain's going to want more, and you don't need to ever turn your life over to something like that.
Yeah, you don't buy into it, then eventually they will have to sell us something else. They'll have to make their money somewhere else.
Maybe in how to teach love instead of addiction.
Yeah, really, I see. I'm like, maybe there should be like healing centers. Teach people how to live.
Right.
Teach people how to love themselves.
Right.
Teach people some skills. Teach people about food. And teach people all of those things. Don't worry, whatever you need, you're going to get. How much money do you want anyways? Exactly. That's my vision too. Like, why is that not happening? But we keep talking about it. Maybe that's what.
Well, it is happening. That's why you have listeners to your podcast. Yeah. And that's why my books sell, because we are in that business, and we are trying to help people to get themselves back.
I am so grateful to be having this conversation with you. I'm so grateful that you took the time to come here. So can you share with the listeners where they can find you, where they can find your book? If they want to work with you, how can they reach out to you?
The best thing is to visit my website at www.drdonna, D-O-N-N-A, Marks, M-A-R-K-S.com, and everything's there. I do a weekly blog. They can register and they'll automatically get it. There's some meditations. All my books are available. There's just lots and lots and lots of resources on there that they can take advantage of.
Wonderful, wonderful. So is there any other parting thoughts or comment that you have that we can make before I end?
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on your show and for your contributions, because I can see that you have also been through this journey, and it's a wonderful journey. Life is a very special,
And I think
fabulous.
you cannot, I mean, everybody goes through this journey. It's what you do with it.
Yes.
Right? This is what I did with it. This is what you did with it. You see what can come out of difficulty? This is what can come out of difficulty. So if those people who you think that you are in a difficult circumstances, it's by design. You are supposed to see through it. That's giving you the momentum. That's the raw material. You need to work with that so you can find yourself. That's the point of it.
Yes. To be able to forgive and to love
Able to
more.
forgive,
Love more.
love, and just be happy like we are intended to be. So
Yes. Yes.
all right, we will keep talking. Thank you, Donna, so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you like this video, please like, share, and comment. You know where to reach Dr. Donna. I will be sharing her contact information in the description box. And don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. You can find all episodes of Igniting Change, Finding Your Fire at ayurvedikhealingcenter.com. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and share your comments.